Today's video is sponsored by my other half, which means she's bribing me not to use any of her stuff by giving me all this junk. What I want to know is, how did she find out? All those questions and more will probably not be answered as I make a junk-built spaceship. My name is Aaron, and you're watching Terrain by Aaron. So my better half has, well, given me a challenge to build a spaceship out of all these things she's collected, and only that. So we go back to basics on this one. First, choose a container of your liking and sand the shiny surface off. The reason we do this is so the glue has a better chance of sticking to the roughed up surface. Take any old cardstock. I was given this packaging from some soft drink company that I'm not sponsored by. Pretend you're a professional by scoring the card with a sharp hobby knife. Remember to watch those fingers. Now move it around the cutting mat, always making cuts until you have some sort of square pieces. So instead of me using plasticard, I'm using this cardstock just to show you how cheap and easy it is to make a junk spaceship. I traced the shape onto the card and cut it out with a pair of scissors, which are mine, not the other half's, I must add. I hasten to add, I am not sponsored by this company. Now I have a template, I glue that onto the container, rough side down, as it sticks better. Continue to add the card all around the container until we have something looking like this. Still, it's looking pretty boring, so I'm adding some larger card either side to pretend they're blast shields or something like that. Now the other half claims she found this in a kitchen drawer. Everyone knows a hosepipe connector belongs in the shed. That's if we had a shed. Never mind, I'm going to give it a new lease of life and purpose and turn this into an engine for my spaceship. At this point, I really don't know what to say. I'm not borrowing this hair curler, as it was one of the things the other half gave to me, and it feels so wrong, simply because I'm not borrowing this. This is actually mine. Anyway, I cut it down and gonna use it as a cover for the hosepipe connector. So once that's all glued down and trimmed up, I'll stick it to the spaceship. But my keen eyes noticed that there is gaps in the seam, so I'm going to use a bit of cardstock just to cover those gaps. Now all the patchwork is done, I'm going to hot glue that to the back of the spaceship. It's looking okay so far, but something is missing. Hang on. I quickly have a rummage in one of my many bit boxes just to see what I've got. And I quickly choose a tyre trim rim, one or the other, just to make it look like it's an exhaust port engine bit at the back. More greeblies from another box this time, looking for something now just to add to the edges of the blast shields and stuff like that. Now all these little greebly bits have come from many different kits over the years, so I couldn't really tell you exactly where each and every one is from. Then I remember I had this space shuttle and transport. Now I've used the space shuttle on a build that you have still yet to see, because I've been making it now for a good couple of months. That will eventually turn up, but I do have the transport a bit basically. Yeah, I'm gonna probably add some of the plain bits. So while I nip things off sprues, it's subscriber shoutouts. This is my way of saying thank you to all my awesome subscribers who leave comments, tips, and just generally say hello. It's free to do so, and I just stick your name on screen. So if you're not a subscriber and you want to see your name on screen, leave a comment and just like the video and drop by and say hello. I answered every single one, even the bad ones. Now this kit was a little fiddly to get together, but I finally got the wings together. And while the wings get to know each other, I decide what I'm going to do with this plane. And oh hello, this is a hobby saw, granddad saw. I don't know why it's called a granddad saw. Somebody in the comments may be able to tell me. But I decide to chop this plane in half. Now my thinking on this bit was going back to the Thunderbirds TV show of the 70s or Captain Scarlet. They had loads of strange looking vehicles and spaceships in every episode, and I just thought, you know, this might look like one of those Thunderbird sort of spaceships. I cut out a lot of smaller little greeblies just so I can stick the greeblies on. Now I know I did say I wasn't going to use plasticard, but I used plasticard for this bit because I knew that that lid was still way too shiny and it wouldn't have stuck any better had I used cards. So I'm just using the little bit of offcut that I did have in my greebly box just to stick the nose cone to the container. Since I've already cut this transporter plane down, I'm going to take the wing off and stick it onto my spaceship. I just need to make some slight adjustments so it will fit flush to my spaceship. And while I make those adjustments, it's code word time. If you're leaving a comment, leave this code word with your comment so I know you got here before skipping to the Glamour Shots. And the code word is Tracy Island. Please also like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much. Because of the nip and tuck I did on the wing, I needed to fill in some gaps. So I'm just using some Vallejo putty that sort of, I don't know, dries pretty quickly. And then I'll sand that down and then get that stuck onto the spaceship. After sanding, I can still see a little gap, so I'm just going to use this bit of greebly just to cover that gap and then finally get this bit stuck onto my spaceship. I know it's not very much, but I know that there would be a gap there on the wing, so now it gets stuck down and nobody's going to be the wiser once it has paint on. Now that the wings have time to dry, I can get these stuck onto my spaceship. I'll test fit the wing next to my spaceship just to see how it looks, and once I do that I realise, well, it looks kind of boring, so I'm going to chop these wings down as well. So out comes the saw once again and I chop the wings in half basically. So what I've done is chop the wing into 3, and then using the wider piece I'm going to make the smaller piece stick to the wider piece. I know what I'm talking about. I think this looks more like Thunderbird 1, the one that I think it was Scott flew, I don't know, drive, fly, one of the two, but that's more spaceship sort of wing to me. So once I'm happy with the wings, I'll glue them into place. I need to make sure that I've got them at the same level. I think I've got one slightly skew with, but I'll hide that in the Glamour Shots. And once all that's in place, I'll just do a little, well, I'll have a look and see, oh yeah, I want to just add some little details to the wing. And add some more little greeblies to the top of the spaceship. And then I'm calling it done. So that is my scratch built Thunderbirds-ish space shuttle. On to the priming. But first, before I do any sort of painting, I need to seal all this cardstock. And to do that, I'm going to use some Mod Podge, which dries clear, but will seal all the card just nicely so then I can apply paint to the cardstock. Once everything had dried, I took it outside, sprayed it with a primer of white, and now it's going to be a red spaceship. So once the dark red has dried, I then go over it with a lighter red. I don't know if you can see, but I'm just trying to sort of give it a little bit of shading. So you're still going to see some of the darker red show through, some of the red, lighter red. I've written all this down and I'm still confusing myself. And yet again, this has had 2 coats now. This is even a lighter red than before, which I'm just giving sort of like weathering stripes to now. So just hitting sort of like the edging and stuff like that. And then once all that dried, I went in with a black to do the exhaust. This is something that I always seem to forget after I've done all the chipping effect and stuff like that, is putting the transfers on. So it's transfers first. And yes, I did make a bodge of all this, so I'll just skip to how it looks lovely on the spaceship. Then after that, it was a little bit of panel liner. Now I know you're supposed to leave it a while before you dab stuff off, but I like to sort of shade it in and get it into the actual paint, just to sort of blend everything together. Then it's time to do a little bit of chipping. So the chipping effect is a bit of red with a bit of white, just to sort of give it a little lighter shade. And while the other half wasn't looking, I did take a little bit off the sponge from the kitchen to use for my chipping effect. And don't tell her, you know, that's our little secret. So I'll just go around all the ship, just making these little chipping effects with the sponge. And then I break out the weathering powders to do some little streaks with white and black. And that's basically it. It'll be the Glamour Shots next. So thank you to the other half for not sponsoring this video. I didn't use anything of yours, love, that you didn't give me, I promise. I hope you liked the video. This is my Thunderbird-esque sort of spaceship. I'm going to call the Red Hornet. Glamour Shots are next, so all that's left for me to say is thanks very much for stopping by and watching. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe, all that YouTubery stuff, and until next time, keep scratching that build, everybody. Thanks for watching.